So I wanted to hide us. How do I do that?
All the way live.
We
All
live.
the way.
Good evening, y'all. We're back. It's the Memphis Jelks show. It's going down, man. How everybody been out there? We missed y'all, man. It's been a minute, bro. I bet people been like, where MJ go? Man, we've been working, man. I've been working, man, trying to get this podcast together, working on new music to drop for my label, the Spit Slam label group. Shout out to Chuck D, doing different things, man. Shout out to MC Hammer. Man, yeah.
Hammer.
I'm telling you, did I tell you MC Hammer hit me up on Twitter, man? Was it last night or the night before last?
No, you didn't tell me that. Hammer?
Yeah, man. It was, yeah, man.
Oaktown?
Too legit to quit Hammer, man. So
Oh,
shout out to him. He told me, man, keep making music, keep doing your thing. You know what I'm saying? Music is like a sign of like, the creator. So just keep on creating, not only to heal others and help others and make good music, but to heal yourself. I'm
no,
like,
for real.
whoa. I knew I was making music to try to heal others, but he right. He got a point. It is healing me too at the same time. So shout out to
Oh,
MC Hammer, man.
Hey, well, congratulations to you and your journey. You know
Thank
what I
you.
mean? Coming
Thank
from
you.
me, I just want to let you know that you stay active.
Thank you,
You
cuz, man.
know,
I
so
appreciate it.
I think it's what he make an interesting point because if you love doing what you're doing, that's you healing yourself.
That's real. That's so real, man. And speaking of love and what you're doing, man, first I want to introduce to y'all, man, my big cuz, man, Chris Mann, Mr. Master Barber, Clipperholics.tech. So that's what my cousin is known for. You know what I'm saying? Like owning his own school. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna get into that a little bit later on, though, man. But he's about to be the new co-host of the Memphis Jelks show, man. So we're really
Yes,
happy to have him,
indeed.
man.
I'm happy to be a part of it.
That's what's up, man. So tell him where you based out of, cuz
Man, I'm nationwide.
exactly.
I'm nationwide, it's kind of hard to say where I'm based out of. I'm just based out of wherever I'm working.
Well, I know one thing, we were both born in Decatur, Illinois.
South Side for sure. Shout out South Side.
Shout out to the D, all the fam up there, man. Keena, Keisha, Weedy, Wayne, you know what
Man,
I'm saying? Jody,
yes, sir.
little tiny. If I get the, let me quit naming people because everybody gonna want their name said, man. I can't.
Shout out to the
I forget
town.
somebody. Yeah, I don't want to forget none of my family. I love all y'all and friends.
Yeah,
But
they seem like they're doing a lot of great things. I'll be kind of paying attention as best I can online, but it seems like it's a lot of activism kind of going on around there. So that's good to see.
that's what's up, man. That's what's up. So speaking of the D, man, I just kind of want to, this episode is something that I wanted to do for all the upcoming people who want to start their own businesses and stuff. And I want to kind of go through like your journey and kind of, let you give us the background on how you came to become, an entrepreneur, starting from Decatur, Illinois.
Well, I mean, I can't take no credit for it. I have to, really give my props to get a props to my mom because my mom always been an entrepreneur. She's always, she was a cosmetologist. So, just kind of growing up, And every house that we stayed in, we had like one of those enclosed porches.
Mm-hmm.
So, whether we coming or going from school, she always had clients in there. So, it was just seeing that I couldn't connect with it. Of course, looking back on that, just being able to see that, and then, find ourselves in circumstances, and then there go opportunities, and then here we are. So my mom, I got to give her credit because she always been bossed up. That's all I've ever seen. So that was the best tutelage I could have ever got.
That's real, man. I remember being real young, man, and your mom used to do my hair. She used to do
Yeah.
me, Brad, and Quincy's hair, man, and we loved when she did it because we knew we was gonna be in there.
Oh yeah. That's the 80s. Was that the 80s?
That was the
That's
'80s,
that's
man.
when the curls. That's when the curls
Yeah,
was hard. And it's crazy. Look, because I never been in a barber shop. I always had those curls until high school. And then I never
yep,
been in a barber shop. It was a couple of the guys that used to cut my hair.
man. We was rocking them Jerry curls, man, and Aunt Dora was the queen at it.
Oh, no
And
question.
yeah, mom would do them too. Mom went to cosmetology school also, and they were like so close, tight knit, man. Shoot, they used to throw me in the back seat and take me to ramen sales, had me going to
Well,
different
you was a
ramen
baby
sales.
though. You was baby boy though.
I already knew when Aunt Dora coming, we finna go ramen sales shopping. Like
Oh
they go to
yeah.
different yard sales. That was their thing. Yep.
Still do. She still do. I went down there to I was in Florida. We hung out and we went to a couple of thrift stores. So she owned that.
Nice. So shout out to Aunt Dora. I hope you're
Mhm.
watching. You know I love you. It's good to have Chris on the show. So man, that's good. So we started off like you started off seeing Aunt Dora, and she was always definitely an entrepreneur. Cause I remember going to her. She would have shops like her own buildings and stuff too that she would do
Yeah.
hair out of and stuff.
Well,
Sometimes.
she was an artist. I mean, she did oil paintings.
Okay.
Of course she was very active as far as being a musician, could sing,
Mm-hmm.
could play instruments. Of course, I've just always been a writer. I have never really been an instrument or a singer, but I
Mm-hmm.
always was good at writing though. But she's always been kind of an artist from
Okay.
what I've seen. Yeah.
Okay. I was so young, man. But now that you mentioned that, though, I do remember like paintings and stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's just been so long, but I do remember Aunt Dora doing artwork and stuff too.
Hmm.
And sometimes I remember coming over to your house, and you would have them tapes. Hip hop was still kind of new, so I didn't have any idea then that I was going to end up getting into hip hop. But you was already into hip hop. You would be playing hip hop music. Me, you,
Well,
Teran,
look, I
Brad.
got to I got to shout out DJ Linwood
Mm-hmm.
from Decatur because that's I think I was staying on the west side. We stand off of North and Monroe. So
Mm-hmm.
he was always on those turntables. We stayed right up the street from one another. So he always had been on those turntables. And I'm talking about I was going to French school. So I was like in the fourth grade. This was right before I moved on the south side. So I took that with me when we went to the south side. They was DJing with tapes, dual cassette tapes. I was coming with the turntable. So so that hip hop, when you talk about hip hop, I mean, we used to go DJ parties, around Decatur. We used to go to all those parties. I used to be the roadie, I used to, grab the crates, you know what
Hmm.
I'm saying, and stuff like that though. But yeah, hip hop.
Breakdancing was popping back then too. Like, man, you remember
Hmm.
the cardboard boxes, man? They'll put them cardboard boxes down, man, and it'll be on.
Man, like yesterday.
Hmm.
It was like yesterday, man. Hip hop, man. And then just, again, seeing how it evolved is
Hmm.
crazy. Hmm.
Yeah, it is, man, and it's like it's like the world's number one genre now.
Yeah, definitely. Hip hop is.
Yep.
Hip hop, you don't even know whether to say pop or hip hop.
Nope, you sure don't, because man, or R&B, because they be saying R&B dead. I think it just turned into hip hop because the rappers be singing their butts off. I'll be like, man, what is this?
But it's a mutation.
Yep, yep.
It's a mutation. That's all it is.
Yep.
Mhm.
Life is a mutation. We take certain things that we go through, and then it kind of builds us and makes us, like starting from youth to we learn this, and then we learn that we're mutating the whole time, and we're still mutating as we speak because we're still learning more today and growing today just as much as we were then.
Already, yes, sir.
Yep. So hip hop popping and all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like, at what point did you start cutting hair?
I started cutting hair. Let me see. I just remember on the south side, because I used to be in the basement. We had a basement where I had my turntables, and I could just remember vaguely, cutting some of my friends' hair.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be DJing, they'll come over and I cut their hair. I mean, I don't know how it was looking, but I was trying. Maybe some of them will call up, maybe some will DM me and remind me if I did cut their hair. Um, how did I do? Did they get by, or whatever the case may be? But yeah, that's all I could, because again, even though my mom was a cosmetologist, we didn't have barber schools in
Hmm.
Decatur.
Really?
So I couldn't really, and then she was doing my hair as far as the curls and stuff like that. So I didn't really know too much about barbering. I mean, I didn't really know too much about barbering until like when I got my curl cut off.
Mm-hmm.
And shout out James Hodges. He cut my first, my fade with the curl on top.
Uh-huh.
With the one clipper, you did the designs, you did the cut and the hairline with them. Oh yeah,
Whoa. He had you in there.
whelped up.
Oh no.
Them clippers was hot.
I went somewhere recently and took my son, and it was a person in there. He whelped us up. I mean,
Oh
that's
yeah.
before I that might be why I grew these dreads. But after he whelped us up, I was
Oh
like,
yeah. So it's a lot of that going on. They zero gapping them clippers. I mean, they overlapping.
it was a shock though, because I'm like, this 2022. Like, I mean, 2020, well, it was like 2020 at the time. And I'm like,
Mhm.
nobody should be getting whelped at a professional barber shop.
Well, they doing it more than ever though. It's rampant.
Really? Man.
It's rampant. I teach. I've been teaching for like for 10 years. So when you deal with and a lot of the barbers that's new, they learned off of YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Dang, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so a lot of them learn off of YouTube. So they come into school and they have these zero gap clippers, and you got to try to help them to understand about the safety of your client instead of trying to get so sharp of a haircut that you're injuring them.
Wow. That's something else. Briefly, man, one of our other my other co-host was late, man. Oh, is in the building. He was running a little
Okay.
bit behind because he got off work. He straight out of the shy. And I'm finna
Windy
bring him in,
City.
man, and then we're gonna continue off because you're chopping up people here and scratching and DJing at the same time. Hey,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
a whole. We about to
yeah,
bring in.
man.
Oh,
And playing basketball, football was outside.
oh, what's up? What it do, man?
What's going on? How y'all doing? My apologies for being late.
Oh,
But
it's all good, man.
duty
Jobs,
calls.
yeah, duty calls. Yep, duty calls. So good to have you here, man. And we're in the middle of my cousin Chris Mann's interview, and gonna start co-hosting with us. So that's gonna be a good look too, man. We're gonna try to drop something, once a week. So everybody out there, if y'all listening, man, once a week, we're gonna pick a day. Us three will get together and decide. We'll pick a day. We're gonna start dropping one a week. So be on the lookout because we're gonna be shining light on a lot of positive people and stuff, man, and a lot of positive energy. That's what we here for, to spread
Topics.
positive energy and positive topics. And you know what I mean? And just keep it 100, man. So cutting hair and DJing,
hmm
and where you don't even know this is your vision yet. You just doing it to for your.
it was fundamental.
That's dope.
You know what I'm saying? It was fundamental. I didn't know, no, know nothing about planning. You just doing what you enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm.
Back then we was outside. We stayed outside. So
Mm-hmm.
between hanging out with the guys, right, and and
Mm-hmm.
and then when I do get home, turn on them, the turntables, and one of the guys might come through and might want to get that cut while I'm banging on that wax.
Yep. Yep. My brother Brad, he had started cutting hair, and it was the kind of the same way because he was cutting out the house, and and that's how we had started making music. So that's how we would get our music out there, because when people in the neighborhood would hear that he cuts hair, everybody and their brother would come over there and get their haircut. So we would use that as the
Mm.
perfect opportunity to make them suffer through our music. So I understand where you're at with it at that point. Like,
So you were marketing then, huh?
yeah, we were marketing then, cross marketing.
That's it.
Yep. So are you in high school around this time that we're talking about, or
Yeah. It was junior high, high school. Because then,
cool?
again, my mom, the shop was accessible. So
Hmm.
you seen these different tools sitting right there. And of course, we're gonna try to experiment with them. And
Exactly.
but yeah, we didn't have no barber school, so it ain't like I was like, man, how can I go any further than this right here? Because we didn't have barber schools in Decatur.
Hmm. So then, like, what was your alternative? You were gonna play basketball, go to the NBA, or
No, I ain't never really had high hopes. I had my guys. Those were their aspirations, and they pursued them and really got somewhere with that. For myself, I can't really recall like being so passionate about one thing that I just really threw myself and dedicated and pushed everything out to the side to just do that.
hmm.
It was just I'm playing ball. It's just I'm just playing, but wherever I'm at and whatever the activity is, I'm just around.
Hmm.
But trying to stay positive.
Yep. Because I know a lot of the a lot of hoopers come from Decatur, man. I mean, it's man. Decatur got some of the coldest
Oh
basketball
no, for
players, man, that you
sure.
that you ever could
Johns
imagine
Hill, Johns
seeing.
Hill, Johns Hill on the south
Yep.
side.
Yep. Shout out to Decatur basketball, man. Them guys be getting it in, man.
Man, Johns Hill. I think they're doing a lot of development over there on the south side too. So I need to get back over there to see how Johns Hill is still looking. Try to reminisce of those days of all day and all night on that court playing ball.
Uh-huh. That's how it was, man. Man, we would come for the summer because we were in Tennessee around that time, but every summer we
Mhm.
would go to Atlanta, to kick it with my dad for the summer. But we
Yeah,
would come to Decatur first, and he would come
right.
pick us up from Decatur. Your Uncle Darcy. And then
Yes,
we'll be
sir.
hooping, man. We'll go to the court and we'll be hooping, man. I will see moves that I had never seen before and stuff, man. I'll be learning that stuff, bringing it back to Tennessee, man. Going crazy on these boys down here, man.
Oh yeah. We
Yep.
got busy. I don't think I was able to I don't know what was wrong. I don't think I was able to keep my grades up in high school.
So that's what you was like. Well, you just gonna be is that what made you like want to become an entrepreneur? Because like college just wasn't like your thing, or like class and all that crap just wasn't your thing.
Well, look, I graduated high school late,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and that's a terrible feeling, when you see your guys graduating and they going off and going to college and all this stuff. And so, after that, you couldn't keep me out of a classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
That's
After that,
real.
yeah. So, that's just what it was.
Sometimes it take that. Sometimes it take a little pressure to get it moving.
No, definitely.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think let me see, high school. I think once I did get my diploma, I tried to go. I wanted to work on cars. I was inspired by the Taylor Boys, in Decatur. So I went to Champaign. What's that? Parkland College,
Mm-hmm.
and I went there briefly for automotive technology.
Nice. Nice. How was that experience?
It was cool because I had to travel back and forth. It ain't like it was one of those situations where I stayed over there. And I was going back and forth. If something happened, I couldn't even finish that first semester, so I stopped going.
Word, word.
Hmm.
Oh, when I first got moved to Memphis, I was living in Ripley. I was working in Memphis. Oh, tell me about his barber. Oh, your barber, you had a pretty good barber here out of Memphis, didn't you?
Man, listen, I was with my barber for 9 years before I moved.
Oh,
Wow,
that sounds like a
Man,
relationship. 9
it
years.
was.
that's
It
awesome.
was. He knew when you find somebody who can understand you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can remember vividly, like this was a mohawk phase. Everybody was getting a mohawk, and he was like, "I'm gonna cut you one to fit your head, to
Mm.
fit how you look." And man, when I tell you it was one of a kind mohawk, listen, one of a kind mohawk. Everybody was like, "Who cut it? Who chopped you up like that?" And it's just, man, I listen. I miss going to him today. It's just because I feel like, and ever since I left him, I feel like my haircut hadn't been the same. And it's not that the guy I'm going to is terrible, but he just knew how to make me look how I wanted to look.
So
Exactly.
so when was it that you started the relationship and ended? What time
So,
period is this?
so I started college in '05, and
Mm-hmm.
so before I got to college, though, my dad was taking me over to Memphis to a barber shop to get chopped. And
Mm-hmm.
he was in the shop too, but we was going to another guy at the time. And so that guy moved to another barber shop that was kind of on campus. And he happened to also be there. And so
Mm.
one day, the guy who was cutting me and my dad, once I got there, we were still going to the barber shop together. But one day, the guy was gone. And so
Man.
yeah, and so I was like, man, who I'm gonna go to? And so it was another barber in there, and so so my dad had to find a new barber too because he was cutting both of us. And so
Right.
the guy who owned the barbershop said, hey, try this guy. His name was Terrell. He was like, try him out. He a good barber. He can cut. And so he introduced me. He introduced my dad to another guy because the another guy that my dad was going to, he worked a little bit early, and so my dad like get to the barbershop 5 o'clock in the morning, and so the other guy worked at FedEx, so he would get off at Fed and come to the barbershop. So my dad started going to him, so I started going to the other guy, and so he cut me one time. You go on campus, you go to a party, people like, man, your chop tight.
Oh
The tape on
man.
the
Oh,
side was
yep,
tight.
yep,
And
yep,
so
yeah.
he cut my beard a different way too. It took me a while to kind of grow this in, but he had
Mm-hmm.
cut it in such a way that it looked like it was connecting. And I was like, okay.
He created that illusion, huh?
He did. He really did. He created that illusion. And so I was like, I like
I
this guy.
love it.
And so conversation was good.
Conversation.
He could talk about everything from sports to different religions to scientific stuff
Oh,
to
okay.
off the wall type stuff. So he had a vast knowledge of a lot of things. He did
Mm.
music, and so we could talk about a lot. And so we built our relationship from there. And ever since then, I was just going to him. And then it got to be where I was like a consistent client, and so he would sometimes take last minute requests if I had a wedding or an event to go
Okay.
to. He worked me in and he would cut me right. And so I got to, tipping a little bit better. And then
Okay.
it
That's
wasn't that
always
his service,
good.
yeah, but it wasn't that his service changed. It was just our relationship was growing. And then I started going in and I was like, hey, I get a taper, but I want to do this, cut it the way you feel. And so sometimes I go in and I get a design and I just be like, man, cut it how you feel. And so it got to a point to where I just allowed him to be an artist on
There
my
you go.
head as
Hmm.
long as I was comfortable with it. And he knew my boundaries. He knew what I was comfortable with. And so, man, he would cut me nice. And then the pandemic hit. I got a new job, and so I moved to Chicago. And so
Okay.
he had to go get a job. And so, man, I hadn't been back and been able to get a cut by him because I think he's still cutting out his house, but he was like, he don't really want me to come to his house and get a haircut. He would prefer for me to come to an establishment. That's just kind of the relationship we had. And so I don't think he was
Yeah.
ashamed of his house. He just had built a reputation with me and a consistency. And so he just preferred being in a professional environment versus just cutting me at his house.
Yeah,
Nice,
I get that. Yeah.
nice. I had that same relationship with my cousin up there, man, with Chris, man. One day, I don't know how I found out that you were in Memphis, man.
Uh-huh.
But he had Chris and them had the flyest barbershop that I ever seen that I ever seen black people have in my black men, excuse me, have in my life. It was in the Wolf Chase Mall now.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm.
Wolf Chase Mall. We in this big white people establishment. And it's this one big nice area with these cool ass brothers from all over the place. In some kind of
Mm-hmm.
way, they managed to get my big cuz in there. And I'm like, you gotta be, this is like a dream come true.
Yeah, it's
This,
a nice story behind that too that got me there.
okay, we're gonna get into that. But I used to
Yeah.
go, that's this the time, at the time I was wearing the low fade. You know, they would call it the TI fade. Man, went to my cousin, man. I told him what I said. He said, "What you want?" I was like, "The Ti fade." I was just so happy to see him. Like he could have cut my hair bald headed. I would have been like, "Cool, man. You my cousin, nigga. I love you. I'm just happy to see you." But
For
man,
sure.
when I tell you that's the best Ti fade that I've ever had in my life. Man, I'm telling you, I was there every 2 weeks. Cuz, what's up, man? I need you to hook me up. I need you to hook me back up. Cause when I left out of there, it's like I had to sign autographs. People thought I was Ti, man. They was like Ti in the Wolf Chase Mall. But yeah, but I want to hear the story about how you got there because I've never seen a mall. I mean, a black barbershop that was that off the hook and nice in a big white establishment that it was in, and it was like to me, it was just like a dream come true. It was like Wakanda in the mall.
Just
Yeah.
one quick thing before you do that, if you could, in your answer, explain a little bit why, sometimes barbers decide to leave a shop and go to another shop, and kind of some of the decisions that factor into that, and maybe how that played a part in you ending in some different type of barbershop. If you can kind of speak a little bit to that, I'd love to hear your opinion and your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I can go with well, it's a lot of factors that kind of play into shop owners will call shop hoppers.
I've heard that before.
But what it's again like if I give you an example, like you're dealing with the Wolf Chase Galleria. Here it is, you have like 10 barbers in there.
Mm-hmm.
So you practically kind of living with each other. And we know that, personalities sometimes don't line up. Sometimes you get to fraternizing and then you trying to come to work and try to be a professional. Sometimes people just wake up on the wrong side of the bed or for example, like your situation, you may, decide to want to go to another barber that's in the shop. So now, it's the tension builds from there, and sometimes, you may feel like it's greener on the other side. You may, somebody may come and talk to you about them opening up a new shop or something like that, and they want you to come over there and build it up. So it may seem like it's a great opportunity for you. You may not have as many barbers in there. You may feel a little bit more secure about, your financial, especially if it's just solely that's how you eat. You know what I mean? Because if that's solely how you eat, and sometimes you kind of get on your feelings because you're expecting a quota, right? So, yeah. So it's a lot of different factors that kind of play into why, different barbers move around to different places. They just trying to find their way, and especially, I got to say this: like if you have license, you have that freedom to do that. You know what I mean? Like, you got them license and sometimes you can, and dealing with these shops, I use this word because it's just an attention grabber, but it's still the same concept. Being a shop owner is like you pimping. So sometimes that dynamic may play a role in that as far as the of course, the barbershop owner want to keep you in the shop. But is he doing everything that you think he should be doing to keep you in the shop?
I never thought
Okay.
about that part.
Me neither.
You know,
This is
I never thought
interesting.
about that part.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. There's just a lot of factors that just kind of play into that, you know. It's funny because I know when I was started working at the Wolf Chase Galleria, and because just like what you were just talking about, it was very attractive because I was just coming up out of Dyersburg. I had left Decatur in 05 and I started in Tennessee in Dyersburg, but around 2010 is when I got to Memphis to the Wolf Chase Galleria. And this is the first time I came into a metro area, metropolitan area, right? So okay, let me just kind of blend in and try to get to it. And before you know it, they wanted to make me a manager.
What?
Wow.
You know, again, because it goes back to, you know, if you own a business, it's a certain way you want things to kind of be. So, you know, shop owners have a hard time trying to find the type of barber that they may be looking for that could represent, you know, their barber shop, you know. So
just a quick question about that. Was a shop owner also a barber in the shop?
no.
Or, okay.
No, so what he had was he had 3 managers.
Okay.
And they was all barbers. Right. So, you know, it's just, you know how it goes, you know, like, man, you want your own shop, you know, okay, let's go ahead and make something happen. And you had 3 managers in there, right? And I think at this time they was going to open up a matter of fact, I don't know if you remember, on the east side, it was a storm or something like that tore the roof off of one of those malls on the east.
Yeah. Yep.
So
what's the name of that mall? Is it Hickory Ridge? Hickory Ridge Mall. Yep.
Yeah. So I think they originally was in there, and when that happened, they end up coming to the Wolf Chase. But then once they got that mall situated, they opened it back up, but they was gonna take a manager with them. So that's how it came into play as far as, hey, see, now you got issues because you dealing with, you know, you have companies that promote you off of seniority. Okay. And you got some businesses that promote you off of production.
Right.
So, you know, you got some guys that feeling like, you know, they you know, I'm next up.
Yeah.
This sounds like engineering. This sounds like engineering.
I understand that completely.
Yeah. So, you know, I was, you know, because I was very reluctant on taking that because, again, you know, when you get these managers positions, you have to manage people. And I ain't really into managing people.
So can you talk a little bit about the responsibilities? Because, you know, I don't know if it's, I'm assuming it's just like managing at any other company, any other business, but can you talk about how managing a barbershop and barbers is if it's different or if it's the same as kind of like managing people in a factory or in a, you know, in a Fortune 500 company? Is it the same or is it a little different?
No, well, this is what it really boils down fundamentally is life skills. So when you're dealing with life skills, is this again, you're providing a service to people that's spending money with you. And a lot of times barbershops traditionally has just been everything kind of goes. And you know, a place like Wolf Chase Galleria, you know, it's supposed to be a certain standard because it's a high volume mall. So you have international people that come in. So you can't do what you would do on a corner shop in those type of situations a lot of times, you know. So trying to manage, you know, their life skills is a difficult thing to try to do because, you know, they may take it personal. You know, and then, you know, being that they taking it personal and being where we from, you know, we only know a certain ways how to handle that.
Right.
So so in that environment, it's kind of a constant, like, because you're a manager. It ain't, like, again, anytime you deal with a hierarchy, it's going to always be an issue if you're a manager, because you have to appeal to you got to appeal to the customers, the workers, and manage, or the owners, and all those different types of things. So you can get pulled in a lot of different directions. So you have to be emotionally stable in dealing with these types of things, because you can go there. So, but so it was always a constant. That's why I was kind of reluctant on trying to take those positions. But then I was like, okay, come on, let's go ahead and do it. And that's what it was. It was interesting, because we're in Memphis. We
Yeah.
can't
Yeah,
forget we're
yeah,
in
yeah,
Memphis.
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. You already know. Like,
We're in Memphis, so it's and me personally, again, it was my first experience in really just being in the metropolitan area, high volume. You dealing with all walks of life coming in there, so you really want to get it together. You really want to tighten it up. So they felt like I was the one that can do that, and and that's when I only stayed there for probably about a year, and that's when I got into instructing.
Oh,
so
okay.
you said that it was an interesting story of how they got you. I mean, how you got there.
Okay, yeah. Shout out my man Den. He from Memphis. He from north.
North.
And I'm gonna tell you, look, okay, this the segue. So I'm in Dyersburg. I opened up downtown Dyersburg, historic Dyersburg, first barbershop, first black man to have a barbershop downtown Dyersburg, Tennessee.
I remember
And
that too.
do y'all remember Mo Money Taxes?
Yes,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
Yep.
got an interesting story about me and those cats. I
So
mean, it's a good one. They're my homies. Yeah.
yeah, a guy came into the shop. I was the only one in the shop. A guy came into the shop, and he was promoting because he was opening up a More Money Taxes in Dyersburg. So he came into the shop. I cut his hair, and he told me he was a barber. I was like, oh, straight up. So we just kind of had a little small talk or whatever. But the next time I seen him, me and my girl, we had went to Memphis. It was my This was my first time going to Memphis and going into the Wolf Chase Galleria. And like you, cuz when I first seen the shop, I'm like, oh, this is it. And
It
then
was
I
what?
seen, him. Den. Shout out Den. I seen Den. I'm like, man, put me in, coach.
I'm telling you, it was like Wakanda in the Wolf Chase.
Yeah, I still got some pictures of that, man. I had some great moments there, man.
So then you hollered at him, and then what
I was
happened?
there. I was there. I left. I had, cause I had owned the shop, so it was about time for me to go. I had been in Dodgeburg for probably about 5 years, and again, I have a lot of family there, so it was just great to be able to, be a part of that community, provide services, and build relationships, build on my skill set, learn a lot more about myself. And when I seen that, when you opportunity grabs, I'm high risk. So when I seen
Mm.
something like that, I was like, let me grab onto this and see what it do. And he's like, come on with it. Ain't no issue. And we partners to this day. Actually,
Mm.
because I had moved to Atlanta, and then he eventually moved to Atlanta. He in Atlanta now, so it was good being able to meet back up with him after he did, after us meeting and our relationship built from Memphis in the barbershop. Yeah.
So you mentioned you were already an entrepreneur before you came to Wolf Chase. You already owned your own barbershop in Dyersburg already.
Well, we have to kind of go back because see, in Decatur, I was in Decatur servicing from 2000 to 2005.
Yep, and
So
that's why I wanted to go back to how did you
yeah,
get to Dyersburg, because
yeah,
you were already an entrepreneur. Well, where we left off in Decatur, you had just like left the car school, and
yeah,
you
yeah.
said that car school. wasn't for you. So I was
Well,
wondering, like,
it was for me. I felt like it was for me, but just circumstances. Just I wasn't able to go back and forth to Champaign, Urbana, to finish school.
mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
and then typically what happens to a lot of us, we get in trouble. And no, matter of fact, I had moved. Matter of fact, that's what happened. I had moved to Tennessee, and I ended up playing Dyersburg State. I played 1 year Dyersburg State basketball. I was majoring in marketing, and at the time, I was like, the reason I picked marketing because going back to talking about playing basketball, my partner Rodney Walker, played professional ball overseas and
Mm-hmm.
everything. So in my mind, I'm like, look, man, I can go to school for marketing. He make it to the league. Maybe I can,
Mm-hmm.
bring something to the table.
That was
Yeah,
entrepreneur. You were already, entrepreneur. Your
yeah,
mind was already like, cause from like you said, growing up under an entrepreneur
yeah.
auntie.
So
So
that was
your
just my
mind was
mindset.
always. I can tell as you talk. I can tell that your mind is always thinking entrepreneurship. You're not thinking who can I work for. You're thinking what can I own and get and have people work for me.
Yeah. Well, or
Or
just being able to be a part of a group of people, but being able to
mm-hmm,
bring something of value.
mm-hmm,
You know
exactly.
what I mean? Just trying to bring
Mm-hmm,
some of value. So I don't have to own it. I don't if we working on a project and we trying to build something, what can
mm-hmm.
I bring to the table that can assist in building that?
Okay,
You
got you.
know, I mean, because again, once we get to talking about working and working people working for you, see now we get into that barbershop because that's traditionally that's about where they hit the brick wall at is because once they realize, man, I'm tired of managing these people, these shops. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get them to come to the shop. You have these issues because you may have barbers that may come to the shop, but then they don't stay at the shop. They just move around and then they may call the shop and say, is it busy? So as an owner
Mm.
or people that's kind of working in there, it's just almost like, look, man, I mean, you got to grind, you know what I mean? So
Yep.
so so now you got to try to convince them to stay there to make money. You know what I'm saying? So you got to understand the build up and the frustration that sometimes these owners may have that where they end up having to be serial entrepreneurs because they feel like the barbershop is something that may not be able to sustain with the,
Okay.
with trying to be as less stressful as possible because again you dealing with us and sometimes it could be tense because
Yeah.
you're just not getting along for whatever reasons. So
Mm-hmm. So you're in Dyersburg State and you're taking up marketing.
yeah,
You're
playing basketball,
yeah,
man.
hoping.
Hooping. I played for a year. That was really nice. And then I came back to Decatur and got in trouble. And I was gone for about 3 years. So I was gone from 96 to the end of November 98. But in the course of that, while I was in there, Illinois, shout out Illinois Department of Corrections, they provided so many different opportunities to gain skills.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So
Yep.
one of the first things that I was able to to enroll in was computer technology. This 97. So they had a course of computer technology, which at the time, Word, it was named Word Processor.
Mm-hmm.
They have all these fancy names, but they had the PowerPoint. You learned a little bit about Excel. You learned a little bit about programming.
Nice.
So after I accomplished that, then I had I had enrolled in cosmetology. Now I could have enrolled in barbering, but you remember I told you before, I was like, I may not finish this program, and I know if I go back home, we don't have barber schools.
Mm-hmm.
The closest barber school that they had was like in Peoria. And I didn't want to find myself in that same predicament, trying to going back and forth, and then it just don't work out, and I just didn't complete it. So I just took up cosmetology, got a few hours in that, and then completed it when I came home, and that right there was the start of what manifest up to this point. I just never let off the gas and dealing with trying to be the best barber. Matter of fact, I ain't gonna just say the best barber because what you have a title called Master Barber.
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think most people, I don't think we realize what barbers have to learn in order to become a barber, and not only that, to build off of that to become a master barber.
Can you
And
talk a little bit about Master Barber and what that is? And
well, barber school, you it's 21 chapters, so you cover a vast amount of subjects. So you starting off with history of barbering.
mm,
You dealing with life skills. These are the chapters. You're dealing with professional image. You dealing with infectious control. You learning about chemistry. You learning about anatomy and physiology.
mm,
You learn about chemical texture services. You learning about the introduction to electricity. Um,
you
what
know,
else?
I'm
You learn
chuckling, but
about
I'm
hair
like,
color. You
I'm,
learning about hair coloring.
I'm chuckling,
And
but I'm like, that's a lot. That's a lot you need to know in order to be a professional. Like, it's
Yep.
not just you know looking at your head and tapering you up, putting this number on and setting it to this. It's a lot more to it than just picking up some clippers.
well, that's how I start off. It's just a passion. You see what them clippers can do if it gets in the right hands. And like I say, if you go in depth and you try to study these types of stuff, when you go to school, that's when you get the fundamentals of what a master barber is, the
Mm,
the things you have to learn to help you to be more of a service to your client.
mm,
Because the thing about barbering, barbers used to be surgeons.
mm.
They was
Wow.
called they was called barber surgeons. So you could tell we kind of fell from grace. We kind of fell from grace in dealing with that though. But so, and those are just introductions, because the thing about it, like when you're dealing with vocational school, it's only to kind of get you started. Now they hoping that you're going to build on that
Mm,
as you
Hmm.
start to, because you got to evolve. Because if you don't, if you're not applying any type of knowledge base and trying to build off of that, how do you evolve?
Hmm.
So now
Yep.
that's why you have these barbers that's watching YouTube, because you're not really learning nothing off YouTube other than maybe how to fade, but they coming in there, they zero gapping these clippers and they doing harm to clients,
mm.
Mm.
right?
Yep.
And really the attitude in dealing with barbering is, man, why I got to go to school? But they don't understand, what a master barber is. That's why I'm just going back to that point. Like being a barber, getting into it, loving cutting hair, that's one thing. But to evolve into being a master barber is something that you become a mathematician, you become a chemist, right? You know how to create products.
Mm,
You understood the pandemic that we went through. As a barber, you supposed to already understood what that was and how to prevent those types of things, the spread of it. Sometimes you go in these barber shops, it's looking a little dusty.
mm.
Hmm. Yeah.
Hair get everywhere. Everybody trying to get out their shop, right?
Yeah.
Or they'll clean it up when they get back in the morning. But you're dealing with infectious control, so you're not really paying attention to the longevity of what damage you could be doing. I'll give you an example. Like cosmetologists, like it used to be a time where cosmetologists didn't have to have a GED to get their cosmetology license. But the information that they're reading is college level information. So now
Mm,
you working with chemicals, and not just any type of you dealing with sodium hydroxide. I don't know if you know what sodium hydroxide is, but that's like a lye. It's like a poison. So what was the indication that the product was done doing what it's supposed to do when you got that product in your hair?
yeah. It's burning.
It's burning,
Yep.
right?
That was
Yeah.
our.
Right.
It's
So
burning. It's too
so
hot.
Hmm.
so so but guess what? The skin broke now.
Mm.
Mm,
Now the poison is getting into your bloodstream.
Mm.
So we talking about this. How often was ladies going to get these relaxers? And,
mm,
and and I don't know if y'all remember. I don't know if y'all remember. it was, remember that, was that Good Hair or something like that, that Chris Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when that natural hair, that whole movement started going on. They
Mm-hmm.
was
Mm-hmm.
they was giving relaxers. They were putting the relaxers on the cross, right?
Yep.
But after those years, because what happened is that our women was dealing with these cancers and stuff. That's what they found out, and it stemmed from that sodium hydroxide relaxer that may have been, you know, flooding their bloodstream over, years of their hair burning or their scalp burning, and it's getting into their system. So what I'm saying is the education of what you're doing, you supposed to be trying to make sure that yourself and your client is safe. But if you don't understand the fundamentals of what you're doing and what you're dealing with, you putting yourself and your client in harm's way. So I'm just saying, as a master barber, you want someone that's on that page because now you trust them. You start off trusting them, right? Make sure you get the right cut. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, what's most valuable is your safety.
Mm.
What if he not? What if he not disinfecting those clippers for the right amount of time? To make sure that it and kill all the viruses and the bacteria on there before they start cutting your hair. Those are type of things in school we try to make sure we heighten and make sure that they're really aware of. Because cutting hair, you're gonna become good at that, but learn how to make sure you're safe and making sure that your client is safe. So that's what it was, yeah. But now, of course, you got to at least have a GED in order to go into vocational school, so you can comprehend this information. And then on top of that, you have to be taught these things. Like if you're dealing with an educator that may not be able to break down this information to you to make it useful or into chunks to where you can digest it and be able to use it, then we got to fix our educational system, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's probably why I graduated high school late. Because who's teaching you? It got to be some sort of appeal there, so you can, kind of, let me go and take this information because it's somebody I could probably relate to or respect for what they do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No matter the profession, there's levels to it because
Yeah.
it worked out the same way for me. Like I got my GED and went to a vocational school and learned drafting. And drafting is kind of like pre-entering, like it's like the entry level into engineering, somewhat. But it's like you said, like they expected me to evolve after that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I couldn't run around saying that I'm an engineer because that's disrespectful that would be disrespectful to engineers. You know what I'm saying? So if a person graduates from vocational school as a barber, then it would be disrespectful for them to walk around saying that they're a master barber because that's totally different. You know what I
Well,
mean?
you
It's
got to
like
speak it into existence.
a science. It's a science. To it. But I've learned and I'm growing and I'm evolving the more I do different projects in the engineering world and stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm still not at the. I don't. I wouldn't want to be disrespectful to a person who went to school for 4 years and received a bachelor's degree in engineering by calling myself, an engineer.
Well, can I say this? Like, in dealing with technology, right? See, it's not really like that anymore because you may have a person who may be self-taught that put that time in, that
Mm-hmm.
they really learned, that they sacrificed the time, and they can call themselves that because they can get the job done. But you may have
Mm-hmm.
somebody that may have went to school, but they didn't really absorb the information, comprehended the information, was able to execute. So necessarily because you went to school, because the degree say you're an engineer, don't necessarily mean that it's disrespectful for this person that didn't go to school but can do what you do, not just do what you do, but probably do a little better than you. You know what I'm saying? So it's about being able to produce, not just being stuck on really too much the titles. But we have to put that there because you do have to learn certain things, fundamentals, in order for you to if you have a solid foundation, that's the only way you're gonna be able to build off of it.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that because I think a lot of today people think that sometimes overnight celebrities happen overnight. But I think what they don't realize is there's a foundation there. There's some
Mm-hmm.
fundamentals that are there that at the right moment, at the right time, some people saw some things and was able to maybe give an opportunity, maybe, point in this direction, or maybe say, hey, I see you got A, B, C, D, E. Let me put this equal sign here to show you how to make it all come together. And I think somewhat of the internet and somewhat of the YouTube and the Instagrams and the TikToks have made people feel like, oh, well, I can just do this and not realize that there's still a foundation that's been laid or a foundation that's been absorbed and planted on the inside. And what you see is just sometimes just part of that stuff growing up or growing out of them or budding out of
Mhm.
them and not realizing, and people just looking on the outside seeing the finished product and not realizing that there were some things that were put in place to be able to get to a position and do what they do. And I think, some of the younger generation is just, they feel like they just want to put it in the microwave and it's done. And not
Mm-hmm.
realizing
Yep.
sometimes you got to be put in the oven and you got to bake,
Yep.
and it take a little bit longer for that oven to warm up, and it take a little bit longer to have something cooked in the oven versus just putting it in the microwave. And so
Yeah.
that's just kind of
There's a saying that relates to that. It takes 10 years to become an overnight celebrity.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It takes 10 years to become an overnight celebrity.
But in the right environment, um, and dealing with management, all of it could work together.
yeah,
You know what
Yep.
I mean? Because
Yep.
again, you may have a person that may be a little talented or a little gifted. He may not be thorough because he might not went through the foundations, but you have the people that went through the foundations that know how to kind of use that and balance that all out to make sure that the product comes out official.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. As a manager, you have to be able to manage people, but not only manage people, you have to be able to put people in the right positions to succeed. And I think sometimes people think that, oh, I can just jump up and be a manager. Yeah, it sounds good and it sounds sweet and it comes with a nice salary. But what do you do to get the best out of the people that you have? You can't fire everybody on your team because they're not performing right. One thing they used to say at Smith and Nephew all the time is people don't leave companies, they leave leaders, they leave managers.
Mhm.
They don't just quit
Mm-hmm.
companies, they quit the management that's there. And so I think,
Yep.
you know, me personally, everybody's not cut out to be a manager.
Nope.
Everybody
Oh
doesn't
no.
have the skill sets. Everybody don't have the vision. Everybody don't have the people skills. I think that's one thing, I keep hearing you mention is relationships, understanding how to manage people's personalities and how to manage conflicts. And a lot of that comes down to relationships and understanding, just how to get the best out of people.
So I have a
Yeah.
question about that. Oh, like
Mhm.
at Smith and Nephew, one of the rules is that you can't become a manager if you don't have a bachelor's degree. So, like what we were just saying, how I started off as a drafter, and then I kind of got into design. Now, I've graduated to like designer, and you know, at some point, even if I were to learn the laws and the rules and the science behind being an engineer, I would still need to get that bachelor's degree if I wanted to move into management in order to become a manager. So, like, how does that play out? Like, as far as like you're a master barber, Chris, like, is it certain levels that a person who hasn't reached that master barber level yet, are there certain doors that they can't get through
Well, yeah,
because
that's what happens. It's funny, right? I don't know if y'all remember Cat Williams, and
Mm-hmm.
he was making that joke about, how when those Chrysler 300s came out, how they look like Bentleys
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
until the Bentley pull up. You see what I'm saying? So, but what it is that you're thorough. You understand? Like you the importance of the foundations is that is so layered and it's a development that you go through. You grow into these different types of things. So by the time you get on the scene, if you're thorough, they're gonna already know you right for the position. That's why, we can't go with seniority. I mean, I know you're supposed to be next up, but what's best for the business? You know what I mean? But, again, I mean, you can't make corporate decisions off emotions.
No way.
You know what I mean? So I think that's just what it is. That's why I think it's so important for our evolution to continue education.
I
Right?
agree.
So as long as you continue as barbers, I mean, to reach master barber, continue your education. So then it's really undeniable whenever you get into certain spaces that they feel like they could put you in that position to do those things. And again, it's relationships too, because again, like you can come up through the ranks because you put the time in, you grew into it, you've proven to be what it is. Because the thing about the degree, one thing I learned about the degree gonna get you in the door because you've proved that you could start and finish something.
Yeah. And that says a lot.
So, okay, we got to at least get you in the door now. I mean, now it's up to you if you can go ahead and navigate once you get in there. But then that's when a person that's in there, that's been with the company, that's been really, they're going to go ahead and get the degree in there first. But if he don't get in there and do what he's supposed to do, then they may take that chance. What they do with my man for the Colts, it was a shock to put him as the head coach or something like that. They felt like it was other people that was probably more qualified for him to be the coach, more qualified to be the coach, but then his relationships, probably what he was doing on and off the field, kind of got him in that position, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
That's real. That's real.
I think one good analogy, to answer your question, Jeff, I think one good analogy here, sometimes beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And so sometimes people in these positions, I'll just use myself as an example, right? So I got a 4-year biomedical engineering degree. And so you put me in a management position. Sometimes my view is that I think that that's the baseline for being able to be in the next level. And so sometimes you have people and systems in place where you have a group of people who've come through, who've decided that from our experience, in order to get what we think is best in this position, we think you have to have this baseline. And so sometimes you have to leave and go to a place where you have people who value experience over paper, or who value having some of both, right? And so some places and some positions, people value both. And even at places where they still value the paper, sometimes I'll agree with you, the relationship is what changes the context. Because when people want you, they'll do whatever it takes to get you in a position. They'll do whatever it takes to keep you from leaving, even if that means creating a position that takes experience and counts that as a factor for not having the degree. Sometimes you'll see these job postings and it'll be like, you can either have a 4-year degree with 2 years of experience, or you can have a 2-year degree and have 6 years of experience. And so that also qualifies you. And so sometimes, and even using the analogy to talk about with the Bentley and the Chrysler, one of the biggest things is sometimes you can get that Chrysler to look almost like a Bentley. And you have to have an expert who can say, here is the difference, right? Here is what makes the difference in the Bentley and the Chrysler. And they can walk around and point out little small things that make the difference. And so sometimes you have to have the package that looks just like the Bentley, and people can't even really tell the difference until they start inspecting real close. And so essentially what I'm saying, sometimes you have all the skills that you need, and people will look past not having the 4-year and having the 2-year.
Definitely. See what you made of.
Yep. Nicely said too. That's real.
Definitely.
Yep. Shout out to my sis Whitley.
I see.
She said experience. She said experience will take over a degree personal from I'm sorry. Experience will take over a degree from personal experience. In corporate America, they want experienced people.
I agree.
That's true. Yep, that's true.
But
there's certain companies that you have to, like you said, there's certain companies that you have to have the degree in order to move up in management. But then there's other companies who might say, forget that, come over here. We got a management position waiting on you right here, without a degree, without a bachelor's degree. If you know your stuff, if you know what they need you to know, and you're able to accomplish what they need you to be able to accomplish.
So what's your thoughts on this? Because the buzzword that I'm seeing to catch in dealing with corporate or dealing with engineering, or whether you're dealing with technology, is the buzzword, do you fit the culture?
Mm.
Hmm.
I think that's important. And the reason why I say that is because sometimes there are things that are created there that you can't we're not going to let you destroy what we built. And so
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we do business a certain way, and we might want people who push the envelope, but we don't want people who just kick the door in and destroy what we've built over this time. And so how you represent a company matters.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a certain customer, and they have certain people that they deal with. And here's the thing, everything isn't for everybody. There is a place that'll fit what you have. But if there's a standard that's created and they're looking for a certain thing, and this is just being general and not getting into any politics or race or anything like that, just in general, if there's a certain standard that they have that they want, you kind of, if you have it, you have it. If you don't, you don't. And so sometimes you need to be a part of, or maybe not necessarily be a part of, but you need to have skill sets that can either help enhance and not tear down the culture that they've built. Because sometimes some of this stuff comes with millions and billions of dollars of investment into creating a structure, and we're not going to let just anybody come in and destroy what we created, unless it needs to be torn down. I've seen CEOs. I mean, Jelks, you've been at Smith and Nephew. We've seen CEOs come in who tore down what the last person did and
Yes.
changed the whole ideology of what he wanted, and they fired a lot of people because
Mm-hmm.
they didn't fit that mold. And as a leader, when you're a CEO, you want people in place who's going to carry out your vision. And if you don't have people in place who can carry out your vision, because if you think about it, my success is built on the people who work under me.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to put people in place who can get done what I see and what I think needs to be done. And sometimes it's not up to our opinion what we think needs to be done. If the CEO has decided that this is the direction we're going, you have to be able to fit that mold and be able to execute the vision of the person above you. And if you get to a place to where you can't, then we need to bring somebody in who can. Because being a manager, just thinking about it, like, I'm not gonna let you get me fired because I do this
Yeah.
for a living, and
Yeah.
this is how I feed my family. Kind of going back to you thinking about being managing a barbershop. Like, this is how I feed my family. And if you're not showing up to this barbershop every day, I'm gonna put somebody else in this booth.
Who will show up. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's in those environments, it's about production. So I guess if you're in there, you can learn a lot from your mistakes.
Yeah.
But in a barbershop environment, it's like nobody really make mistakes.
Mm.
It's somebody else. It's like you want to create an environment of a team. That'd be, to be a shop owner, that's what you want, a team, a culture.
Yeah.
But then,
Mm-hmm.
social engineering is such a critical tool that you use to break down or build up anything that you come across. Some people are hurt their own they self to tear down the whole, like, for example, like what you were just saying, like that's a protocol. Like, people in big business, they buy businesses to break it all down.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yep.
buy them to make them fail, so then they can, do whatever it is that they want to do. You know what I mean? And we do it
Yep.
on, that's just at the highest level. So we do that even
Mm-hmm.
on the lower level.
In the
Yeah.
music industry, I've heard horror stories about people getting signed to record deals only to be shelved. The only reason the label signed them was to get them out of the way of their artists who they're promoting got popping. So that's it works. All to me, when it comes to corporate, they're all structured the same. I think the same rules apply across any industry because there's been times where I would be sitting in meetings, in corporate meetings, and they'll be going over like the quarterly revenue and stuff like that, and like different marketing and stuff that we're focusing on. And I would be thinking that like that's the same thing as like my music career. Think when you think of an artist, think of them as a corporation. And what if that artist has all of those people around them structured to do exactly what they're doing? They had a marketing department, they had a product development, research and development to like research the game and see like what do they need to do next. Product development, making merchandise, hats, clothing line, stuff like that. Um, Marketing, finding out who's listening, who's not. Where would we be wasting money at trying to promote to? Let's find out who exactly is listening, and then let's promote directly to them and get these products sold. Who is the corporation? Memphis Jelks, or this rapper. This is a building. You don't even need a build. You don't even need to have a building. Your body is the building. That, you know what I mean. And everybody, I feel like I'm a corporation. I'm really trying to put together the right team and put. If I could have each the like you were saying earlier, people who come around you to find out how can they help this corporation get to the next level, versus like you said, versus somebody coming around saying, how can I own this person, or how can I own this corporation? And just like a corporation, if I'm hot and you got an artist signed to your corporation, you could come buy me out, shelf me, because now you can make it to where you control me. I can't put out records anymore, but then advance your company, advance your artist. So across the board, like whether it's engineering, to me it's sounding like whether it's um, barbering, music game. To me, I think if you structure it all, if you take what a Fortune 500 corporation is doing in order to make money, and you use that same model, you could apply it to anything, any person, any you know any field, and be successful. If you Because just sitting in those meetings, I'm like, what if we were doing that for my corporation?
Well, yeah, I mean, but I think you deal with, that's why independence is such a big thing right now, because again,
Hmm.
you want to, you find yourself being a part of something, and then next thing you know, you've really been compromised.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? With beyond your control. You know what I mean? So I think independence it's a big responsibility, because when you become part of a team, you have people that does a lot of the heavy lifting,
Hmm.
right? And you can
Yeah.
focus on you, whatever you specialize in. But when dealing with independence, you deal with that freedom. Like, that's why I'm saying you have barbers that have license. They can pick up and go however they please. Now the owner might be trying to, build that culture, but because he independent, he can kind of move around like he want to, But what if he wasn't? What if he signed a contract?
Hmm. Oh,
Like some,
he'd be stuck.
yeah, like some owners, they'll have you with that no compete, have you
Hmm.
sign something like that so you don't open up within a certain, radius of them.
I didn't know they did that.
Well, they do, but then again, we gonna take it to another level. You know what I mean? Because we gonna, that's the business savvy way of doing things. But then we get off into, oh man, you've been working in this shop for 3 months and been plotting and the whole time, and then it just goes off into something else though. But I think that's just what it is, as far as just really trying to understand and continue your education on what you were just saying, because about how thorough are you in knowing what components it take in order to be successful.
Yeah.
And that's where like that's what I really, respect and love about because like I had met, plenty of people before in this, I was recording for his nephew. And he would drive all the way from Memphis to Ripley so that I could record his nephew. And when he saw, for somehow, some way, he saw the vision of where I was heading and what I was trying to do and everything. And he found like a way to help, be able to put himself in a position to be able to help, me get to where I was trying to go versus just seeing it and then just not seeing it. You know what I'm saying? Like you have some people who will talk the talk, but then you have some people who will walk the walk, because eventually we ended up doing a few venues together, two or three venues together. We opened up a recording studio in Ripley, one of the nicest recording studios, man, to ever hit that area.
Mm.
I mean, and we weren't making like bukus of money either. Guess what we were doing? We were losing money together. But that's the thing. We were losing money together, and we were still coming together, slapping it up, working out in the gym together every day, trying to figure it out. How we gonna, how we gonna do it the next time? We wasn't tucking our tails and running and going and jumping to some hole, crying and being sad and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We were planning the next thing. You know what I mean? We're like, okay, if this didn't work, let's come together, rethink it, re-strategize, come back with the next plan and the next plan. And we just kept, we kept pushing. And you just don't meet people like that every day. You don't, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people will say, I support you, but shit, ain't no, that's real support right there. That's real support.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's I think, that is rare, but I think what eventually happens in a lot of situations where, like when dealing with hip hop, they didn't kind of solve that problem to where if if you came to me and I've given you a certain type of exposure, and then you go over here and get signed, you would you get 5% or something, or you feel like you owe something, right? It seemed like one of those biggest conflicts when you deal with upcoming rappers and who introduced them first before they went to go sign. When you
Like
hear about these
10%.
types of things, right? So a lot of times you're dealing with that paperwork and trying to, get that kind of resolved. So then when success do come, it don't seem like it just destroyed what was something that was special in the beginning.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, here is something that I believe. I believe sometimes people are just for phases, right? Like you might have been the one who discovered me and helped me get polished up and helped me get to the place where I am getting signed. But maybe you don't have all of the tools needed to push me over the hump. But it
And
doesn't negate
sustain it.
what you've done. It
Mm-mm.
doesn't negate what you've done. It doesn't negate what we've done. It's just like this is as far as you could take me. And I think sometimes people have a hard time dealing with the end because this is just as far as you can take me. Sometimes we keep talking about this. Sometimes you need people with the experience, some
Mm-hmm.
people who've been there, who've dug in, who understand the industry, who understands the environment. And it's not to say that you can't do it. It's not to say that you're not willing to do it, but it's sometimes you're just not at the place that you need to be in order to support the person to the next level. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think people get offended by that, but it's the truth. And
It
I know
is.
that's a hard pill to swallow, but who's to say that the next person that comes along, you can't be ready to take them over the hump and take them to the next level. And I'm not saying you can't go with the person and ride with them to the next level, but I think sometimes egos play a part in that and feeling like you're being unloyal and stuff like that. Sometimes it's not about being unloyal. It's just like, yo, Hey, thank you. Here is 5%. Thank you for getting me this far. Here is 3%. Thank you for getting me this far. You know, some people might be willing to give 20 or 25%. Thank you for getting
Mm-hmm.
me this far, and I appreciate the investment you made in me. And I'm gonna go take this and be great. And use my success for you to go get someone else to get them to this point. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like the producers, man. Some people, there's some producers out here who some hit makers, man. That's all
Yep.
they do is make hits. You know, they
Yep.
don't want to be in the limelight. They ain't got to be in the limelight. They just do their thing, make hits, get paid, and understand how the process works.
Yep. Yep. I'm like, I totally agree with that, and I totally agree with, like, I mean, like I was just saying how we would lose, like you and I, for instance, like we would make investments and they may not do as well as we would want them to do, but then we would constantly keep struggling together.
But
So,
you know, I
because
feel like we,
so when it was time to win, you know what I'm saying. But best believe we was gonna win together, or we're still winning. We're still going to win together. You know what I mean? Because I'm always planning, plotting, and strategizing and stuff. I just
yeah, but
think,
I,
yeah, but as long as I think as long as everybody, leaves the situation happy, you know what I mean? Because I wouldn't want to, if I'm struggling every day and I'm risking like what we're risking and everything, and then tomorrow we wake up and then you get a multi-million-dollar deal, or I get a multi-million-dollar deal or whatever. Like, that's what Chris is saying, like that it could start going left or right. But to me, it just depends on what kind of person that person is. Because if I were to wake up and if when we were doing what we were doing and we got successful, I was gonna make sure that you're happy, money wise. Like, I wouldn't have been like, oh, we said 3%, so here's 3%. I'd have been like, no, bro, this is enough for all of us to eat. How much would make you comfortable and happy with the situation? Because I gotta leave and go over here now and be with these people every doggone day. I
Yeah,
don't know, maybe you just don't have, maybe a lot of people just aren't loyal like that. But I'm a loyal type of, I feel like there's no way that you done grinded with me this long, and we done got to this level, and now we $1 million status, and I'm leaving you with, you know, less than what you feel like you're worth. Not only me, I need you to be smiling whenever I walk out this room after we break bread. We all need to be leaving this room smiling. You know,
can I say this? Like, what I try to share with some of the students, right? Because what happens is, you had these students enroll into barber schools, and then they had their camaraderies together, right? They
Mhm.
got these big plans, right? So I have to kind of share with them. I'm like one of the most failed business structures are partnerships. Okay. Um, so it's like, why? And I just try to share with them, first, get your own identity, you know, brand yourself, whatever your identity is, because like what you were just mentioning, oh, is like, certain things could be phases. Like Jordan joint ventures are periods of times, you know what I mean? That you
yeah,
Mhm.
you kind of do things, but then you still have an identity that you can still go out here and still, add that to the momentum of whatever else that you got kind of going on.
Mhm.
So I think what happens is they get into these partnerships and trying to, do things together, but they haven't really took care of the business.
mm,
You
yeah,
understand? To really, because again, you can say you want to do these different types of things, but what if he ain't satisfied with what you gave? Look, hold on, man, 25%. I thought that was good enough, but too much money ain't enough money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It can be that way. Yeah. It
Yeah,
can. It
I mean,
can get that way.
in most cases, it's that way. You have rare situations, but I'm just saying overall to be thorough,
yeah,
right? To be
Mhm.
thorough, you do your research, you do your homework to try to figure out, how this thing goes. So then you don't find yourself at a stopping point once success comes trying to figure it out. Because now you start to lose momentum. You're not together like you used to. You know what I'm saying? Because you're still
yeah.
trying to. Then now my people talking to your people.
Yeah. But I think you said something that's key there, right? We just meeting each other, right? We ain't
Hmm.
built nothing together. We ain't had no type of discussions. We
Hmm.
ain't, seen each other's work ethic yet, right? We just getting
Right.
here. And here's the other thing. I'm exposing you to all of my dreams. But how do I know you're not a dream killer, right? How do I know, right, you can support these ideas that I have? And so that's one thing, one of the reasons why me and Jeff started working together is because one, I believed in his dream, but I
Hmm.
never had any desire to take what he had and run with it. All I had a desire to do was to support what he had,
Hmm.
because in supporting what he had, I learned a lot. A lot. I learned a lot. I mean, we opened up a business together. First business I ever opened up
Yep.
together. We bought a building, man. We paying bills. We trying to figure out how to get managers to run this stuff. And we
Yep.
both,
Hmm.
he lives in Ripley. I live in Memphis. And so it's like, how do you make this work? And so, man, I learned a lot from that experience. We had a lot of failures, but one thing we had was a lot of learning experiences, man. We learned a lot from
Yeah.
failing.
Yep.
And I think
Yep.
eventually, had not COVID happened and had not I got a new job, something would have hit and
Yeah.
something
Hmm.
would have popped and
Definitely.
we would have had something that worked, or that was successful, or what we felt like was successful. Because
Hmm.
some of the things we did, even though we failed, I felt like it was successful, man.
Me too. I do too.
you know?
Because I had never done that before, and at the end of the day, it's rare for two black brothers to meet each other and click up and focus on one thing together and build together. And I think that what I would like to see in the future is more of us do that. Like I was just saying, like corporations, Fortune 500 corporations have many people, but they're all attached to this one corporation. Um, if what if another brother would have saw what me and you were doing and said, I'm gonna help too. I want to help too. How can I help? And he had the knowledge that could help us get to here. And then another brother would have saw that and said, I see what y'all doing. Y'all over there coming together and stuff. And I want to help too. So he comes along and introduces us to other things we need. And as we start growing, yeah, it starts becoming more people involved, but we're reaching bigger levels now, and we probably would have started generating more revenue. What we would be doing is building a corporation. The same way that I said, the corporation, it has different departments and stuff. Now we're looking at it like now you're the marketer. This person over here, he's the product developer. He does the clothing line. This person over here, he does, and we're constantly growing. See, and that's how I look at people like Jay-Z and stuff like that. Like labels wouldn't sign him and stuff, but he got a mastermind who was Dame Dash, a person who not only had the capital to say, okay, well, they won't sign us, let's create our own label, but then also the know-how to say, well, we're gonna need a product development team. We're gonna need a marketing team. We're gonna need sales. Really, I think Rockefeller was really built as a corporation around Jay-Z, and look how that worked.
Well, you said something interesting because you talk about capital. Now, what is the capital? Like okay, I guess we think more of it as assets or money, right? Because you're trying to run a machine and you
Hmm.
got several arms that you need to be operating and working. And most of us, like again in our communities, my question is like, what are we building?
Exactly. This is a good conversation about building, because me and O got together and started building. How
Right.
how do
But
how do we how do we get other people to come in and build with us?
okay, it's a couple of things. Okay, entrepreneur, the difference between the entrepreneur and maybe a person that may just be seeking employment is that the motivation a lot of times is like if in order for them to do the job, that they got to already know what they're guaranteed to get at the end of the week. An entrepreneur, right? They just got to do and hope their calculations come up to where everybody can eat.
Mm-hmm.
But the investment, when you talk about capital, I look at what's the investment in the people that's being a part of whatever you got going on. And that's what I'm saying about the business. If they're part of the capital, don't they have some companies where people that's employed, they have a stake in a company, they have a certain percentage in the company?
Yes, and a lot of companies are publicly traded, so they have a
Mhm.
board. They have a board of people who own stock in that company up to 100%.
So now you're dealing with the fact that, okay, if you're looking in our communities, if we're trying to build something, okay, why am I not really getting any help? Okay, but because the thing about it, do they have the skill set? Who's doing the interviews to figure out where the value at to this person's skill set to do whatever it is? Are they on the job training? Do they have to have a certain skill set or experience? Right, because with that, it's going to come with a higher price tag. Down that means you got to come up with more capital. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's training these people to build something from ground up? I don't know. What do we have in our communities that's building skill sets up and
Mm-hmm.
training them and at least beginning trying to build in our communities, because we don't have the capital to sit there and pay everybody to do the job.
Right. Yep. Yep. And we haven't seen it done either. We don't see it being done on a regular basis. People building together.
Well, it's
And I mean,
self-preservation.
when I say building together, I mean like everybody knows like when you first open up a business, it's not going to instantly be successful. So with that mindset, if we wanted to build something, then we need to understand that it's not going to be successful overnight. But this is something, that's why we call it building, because we're putting it down brick by brick by brick by brick. So you shouldn't people basically, if we're going to build like in our community, like where there's not a lot of capital, it's going to have to be a lot of faith. People are going to have to come together in faith and believe in something so strongly that they're willing to build it up brick by brick, which would make it more important, and which would make it more, people would appreciate it more in the long run, because they're going to be like, this is something that we built from the ground up. If somebody give you something, it doesn't have that much appreciation value on it. But if it's something that you built brick by brick, you're going to appreciate the mess out of it.
Well,
So
see, not to cut you off, but like, okay, whenever you being an educator, I've been educating for over 10 years, cosmetology and barbering, right? So when these students come in, you're building them. They enrolled in school for up to about a year, right? So here it is. I'm just trying to speak to that point. As far as now, you may have students that come to school and feel like they don't need to learn the book. Man, what I got to learn the book for, man? I can cut hair. Let me just get my hour so I can go ahead and get my license, so I can kind of do whatever it is that I do. I'm just saying these are some of the challenges when you see these different personalities and you're trying to build on top of those personalities. Now what does that take as an educator or a manager or a person? What does it take to deal with multiple personalities and trying to build them? And then what if you come across resistance and dealing with that? You don't want to give up on them. You know what I'm saying? So like dealing with school, you have to deal with a lot of the attitudes of them not wanting to do this and wanting to do that. But then guess what? By the time they graduate, they're pretty solid in what they're doing and they can appreciate it. You know what I mean? But it's the grind, it's during that time. See, the only reason that they stay in school is because they want to get those licenses. They have a desire and they want to have those licenses. That's why they're getting up every day to come to school and deal with somebody suggestion on what they need to be doing for 8 hours, right? So I'm
Mm-hmm.
just saying that's like building a business. You got to babysit it. You got to babysit it, and you have to have the skill sets to be able to for them to trust you in whatever it is that you got them doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a
Yeah.
lot of work. I mean, that is a lot of work. It's a lot of tolerance because you're dealing with personalities. That is hard work because at the end, and then they're not getting paid. They could be feeling like, man, I could be somewhere getting paid instead of this. You know, you hearing this, but you still in school, you trying to get these license. So just imagine when you're trying to open up a business and you really trying to get to the soul of these individuals to really find their self-worth, their pride. You know what I mean? What is it that you really value? Are you valuing the skill set that you have, or you valuing the money? Because if you value the skill set, the money ain't no issue. But it takes patience to build that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's a very compromising situation, and I don't think that's why we haven't really tackled that, you know, and the magnitude that we can, because it's a lot of money you're gonna spend trying
Yeah.
to trying to satisfy them. It's a lot of seduction you got to do because you're trying to appeal to their personality. So as a manager, as an instructor, you take a lot out of yourself trying to build someone else. And this is adult learning.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't like K through 12, you know, okay, they K through 12, so I got to give them a pass. But you figure by the time they're adults, their life skills should be in order to where, you know, it shouldn't be such a fight and such a pool of energy from you to motivate them to want to build something that may be of value to not just themselves, but the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it
I just feel like, well, first of all, I agree with everything that you just said. You know, it's going to take hard work, and maybe is that the reason why our community is like not building, trying to build things together, or is it because of hard work, or is because they want instant gratification? Because
well,
in order for us to help our community, we may not even live, if we really did it the right way that it's supposed to be done, we might not live to see it come to fruition.
and that's how
but but
selfish
but,
we
but
are.
right, we should be laying down bricks, right? And then whoever then our kids should lay down more bricks, and then their kids gonna have to come behind that and lay down more bricks. You know, and eventually, you know, as time goes on, we're gonna have a strong community. But so like listening to like the way you were just saying, like, is that maybe that's why we're not doing it, because we want instant gratification, or
Well,
either that, or we don't trust each other enough, or our personalities just can't get along. Like our personalities just what is it, like
those
what is
those
stopping us from, because
those are
it's not the money, because like the black community, we spend over like what is it, $3 or $7 $3 trillion a year or something like that, just
okay.
on
Okay.
stuff,
So what did you just say earlier? You say like it takes 10 years. They say it takes 10 years to build a brand.
to become an overnight celebrity. Yep.
Okay. So that's a lot of time that you got to kind of put in order to be focused and consistent and dealing with whatever it is that you do, because it's about leadership, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did somebody did was there a group of people that seen you day in and day out, and they rolled by and they seen you day in and day out? See, that's leadership.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah, they
saying?
did. Yep,
So
yeah.
so
They
so
saw us
so
posted up at that studio. We were
so
doing the promotions, doing what we were supposed to do, trying to build.
so my question is, who do who who's a notable brand that we know within our communities what's the brand, you know, or you could say brand, but I mean, it really kind of stem from dealing with legacy
Hmm.
because you ain't really doing it for you.
No, that's at the end of that's what I was saying. We're doing it for legacy because we may not even live to see the fruition of it. But hopefully, if we started something, then our legacy will carry on and people will continue it. Hopefully, that's really the goal, legacy.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. What does it take to build a legacy? What is a see all those things you talking about building the business, the sales, this all these different types of things as an individual and dealing with entrepreneurship, you dealing with trying to build a brand.
Yep, and you can't one man army it because you're going against. I mean, you're up against armies.
No,
So,
no,
so you can't one
it's
man
okay.
army it. How do you
Yes, you
get a how
can.
do you get an
No,
army?
you can
Well, you
because guess
can,
what?
but you're not, I mean, not to the level. Well, go
It's
ahead. I'm gonna listen because
it's going back to what you saying because it ain't about whether you see the manifestation of it. You see what I'm saying? Long as you got your nose to the ground and you doing what it is that you believe in, right? And you grinding that and you happy in it. Because it's about passion and loving about what you're doing. It don't supposed to be about the money because the money's supposed to come, right?
mm-hmm.
But what if nobody see that? What if all they see them walls staying at home when we get to talk about the money? The kids listening, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? We don't really realize what we kind of embed in kids when they're young, that what builds them up to be how their outlook on things. So what I'm saying is that's my point. Like, where's the brand? Where what a witness at on a brand that it don't matter how it scales, because little buddy gonna scale it when it come his time to scale it because he didn't seen the foundation. Where's the foundation at? And that's going and see and look, and that's a lot of hard work because guess what? Now you got to change your whole mindset because the mindset always been about the bread over everything.
Yeah, you hear it in the music. It's money over everything in the music, and the
Yeah,
music is reflecting,
you being
the thoughts.
indoctrinated. You being indoctrinated about the paper, so you didn't miss the passion. What they say, don't chase the money, chase the dream.
Yep.
But rent due.
Yep. Yep.
So that's I think you know what I'm saying. That's where it starts at. Like again, if I'm look, I go from state to state dealing with these barber schools. They don't know me. They don't know my history as far as what I may have done as far as my career is concerned. But guess what they watching? They watch it. I don't miss a day of school. The things that I'm talking about, go ahead and fact check. Let's have a discuss. You know, how does a classroom theory conversation go? Now how do we put it in practical use? Now you got to do this for 12 months in order to get your license. Because now it's boot camp. You go to the military,
Yeah.
you go to a boot camp because it's preparing you for what could possibly happen and how do you overcome that? How do you problem solve? Matter of fact, how do you critically think? You can't be no chemist. You can't be no chemist if you don't know the order of operation.
Right. Exactly.
You don't know what beauty is if you don't know how to measure it. That's art. So those foundational type of things is necessary in order for the next generation of people to be able to understand this is how it works. This is how it's undeniable, and then you come together. But right now, you got to do it yourself, or unless you come across great individuals who can see, and you do it together, and people they got to see it. They can't see you. They can't see you robbing Peter to pay Paul because that's cheating.
and then Peter might come back blast.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's how we try to build our That's how we try to build our communities. And we've been trying it for a long time. You know what I mean? But you can't take away the hard work that is necessary for you to look. You need to go to school to learn this math. You need to learn some algebra because we're going to need you to kind of figure this out so we can problem solve this. We're going to need you to go to school. You need to learn some literature. You need to learn another language so we can appeal to different groups of people. Like, and like, I give you an example. Like in the barber industry, it's not just us cutting hair no more. You have Asians, you have women, you have all these different groups of people that can cut better than a lot of the barbers that we know that is best at what they do. So if you're a barber coming out, how do you know how can you appeal to these different demographics of people and all you know how to do is conduct yourself around a certain group of people? And like
Yep.
you were just saying, earlier, what inspired you most about your barber is because his knowledge base. It seemed like he can kind of go in any direction and be able to have an intellectual conversation about certain things, no matter who sat in his chair.
Yep.
And I think that's what we all, should strive to try to, accomplish. But for some reason, education is one of those things where we be like, I can't. You don't want to go back to school until after you graduate from high school. You don't even want to see school no more.
Exactly.
I think, me personally, I think one of the biggest things that's missing is investment. Anything that you want to grow, you have to invest in it. And I think as a community, we don't always like to invest together in things. And sometimes it's not just money. Sometimes it's about, hey, you're doing a good job. Hey, keep up the good work. It's not always tied to a financial gain or to a financial investment, but we don't invest. You have to invest. And I'll just give you an example, right? So my grandmother didn't go to college. She learned how to read by reading the Bible. So that's how she grew up. But she sent 6 of her children to college. And then after that, my mom was one of the 6. And so she went to college. So you know what the pathway was for me? Because of the investments that have been made into the generations before. Now, for me, it was automatic that you go to college. But here's what the difference maker was. Her and my dad invested in me going to college visits, going to after school programs, and tapping into different things that I found passion in, whether it was basketball, football, a math camp, a science camp, English camp, summer school. Like I didn't have to go to summer school, but I went to summer school because some of my friends went to summer school, maybe not for the same reasons, but in summer school, I got some extra stuff that I didn't get throughout the year. I started learning words that I didn't hear throughout the year. And so that kind of built. And so my dad and my second mom, they went to college. They both have master's degrees. They both have terminal degrees. And so now for my other sisters, it's just an expectation that when you go to high school, you graduate and you go to college. And so I got one baby sister who graduated now. And so for her, the expectation is I graduated from college. My sister graduated from college. She has a master's degree. And so my other sister graduated from college. She has a master's degree. And so now the expectation for my youngest sister who graduates this year is that you go to college, you get a degree, you get a master's degree, you get a doctoral degree, and you walk into your profession. And so these were investments that people continue to make in themselves. And so these were things that we were watching. And so what should happen is our kids, the expectation should be, okay, you go to school, you get a good education, you go to college, you get a career, and you move past these things. And I'm not saying that you can't do some other things, but it's a foundation that's been laid. And so what once was a dirt road is now pavement. And now what's once was just asphalt, it's got lines on it. And so what once had lines on it, it's now got a speed limit sign. It's got warning signs. It's got, it'll be a curve here. Get off this exit. And so now what's happening is my little sister is driving down the road and now she has directions. And so now she knows where to stop. She knows where to get off. She knows where to fill up for gas. And she knows which turns and which turns not to take. And I think that's what we miss. And so that's how sometimes kids get wrapped up into things that they shouldn't get wrapped up, is because those people are making investments into them. And so you listen to people who invest in you. You respect
Mm-hmm.
people who invest in you. You talked about it. You go in
Mm-hmm.
these barber schools, you educate them, you tell them. And so you spend a year investing in them. And so when they leave, they came in thinking they didn't need that education. They just wanted them hours in the leave. But because of the passion and the investment that you made into them, when they leave, they're like, oh man, I did need this. This made a
Mhm.
difference. And
Yep.
sometimes that varies on a scale. You still gonna have some people who be like, I learned it. I just really need the hours and I'm out of here. And you're gonna have some kids who are like, man, I really appreciate it because I needed the stuff you gave to me. And so that's how corporations survive, right? People, investors, people put
Mhm.
money up because they
Yep.
want to see them win. They want to see those products win. And until we make up our minds that we want to see everybody win, let's just not even say everybody. Let's just say you want to see everybody in your family win. If we just start there, right? Just wanting to see our families win, then we create winning culture inside of our culture, inside of our communities. We create a winning culture. And that doesn't mean everybody's going to be a basketball player. That doesn't mean everybody's going to be a lawyer because we all have certain skill sets and we all have a role that we have to play. I believe that we all have a purpose. We all have a duty and a job and a mission that we all have to carry out. And sometimes it's not everybody being one thing. Sometimes it's everybody being a little bit. Even the people who are
Mhm.
garbage men, some of them have passion for the work that they do. Somebody has to be selfless. Somebody has to spend time doing the stuff nobody wants to do. People talk about plumbers all the time. I wouldn't dare want to do that. But if you knew how much a plumber made,
Yeah.
if you knew how much he charged,
Garbage men too.
if you knew
Garbage
how
men
much they
too.
made, if you knew how much people value those positions, right? They might be looked at as being lowly, but government systems and communities value people who pick up trash because they understand sometimes you got to get the waste out in order to, get new stuff in and take new stuff out. And so me personally, I think that's where we miss it. We miss at investment. And I think we teach so much. Everybody not meant to be an entrepreneur, but you know what everybody's meant to do? Have ownership. We're all meant to have ownership. When you have ownership over something, you have power. When you own stuff, you have power. And
Exactly.
that's where we miss out at. Most of us don't own anything. Most of us don't own a home. But even when you go to a business, they give you an opportunity to own a piece because what they understand is the more money they get from you, the more power they have to buy. So they're like, yeah, we'll offer you stocks. You can buy them at a discounted price. And some of us just look past that. But there's an opportunity to own something because when
Mm-hmm.
you own something, you have the ability to give input on it. You have the ability to decide what's done and what's not done. And so that's what we're missing out on, man. Everybody not meant to be an entrepreneur. We talked about it on here all night. Everybody just don't work hard. It's just not something they've been taught to do. It's not something they do. But what you can do is own something, man. We can all own something, whether it's stocks, whether it's real estate, whether it's knowledge. We can own something, but we have to make an investment in it. And I just think that's where the gap is. We don't want to make the investment. For some of us, selfish reasons. For some of us, is because our parents didn't invest in us, or the generation before them didn't invest in them. And so some of this stuff goes back a long way. But what we talked about here, some stuff we're working for is for the next generation. Everybody's not gonna make it to the top of the mountain.
No.
Sometimes it's just for you to climb up a little bit so that somebody else can go a little further. So it's like, well, my dad went this far. I'm gonna go this distance, and my son's gonna go this distance. And at some point, we might not be here to see it, but at some point, you might have a company, you might have a business, you might have a billionaire family, you might have a millionaire family. But I think some people get caught up in wanting to be the person who gets there and not realizing that sometimes you have to carry the ball just to get to a certain point and let somebody else pick it up and run from there.
Mhm.
Yep. Man, well said. And that's so true, man.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Well,
sir.
we can't give our whole podcast away in one night. We
Man,
we've
listen,
gave we've given them a whole lot of great content and information and things to think about and ponder on. But speaking of ownership, we got to get back to the reason why we're here. And after we go over Clipperholic.tech, I think we're gonna wrap this episode up because I think we've given enough information for about four episodes. We ain't never gonna make no money. But yeah, so we got back. I'm gonna get back serious. So Clipperholic.tech.
Yes, sir.
What inspired you and what is the vision behind Clipperholic.tech?
It came to me around 2006. Again, I came home from boot camp, and I was my passion was it was through the roof about this barbering thing. Wasn't nothing getting in the way of that. But when passion hits you like that, people around you may not understand it.
Yep.
Right. So or maybe they do understand it and they may just feel a certain type of way. But I just kind of seen things in my personal life. I just seen things just kind of falling apart. So I just kind of, when it came to me, it was just like, you have alcoholics, but things fall apart in their life because of alcohol. And I'm like, Clipperholic. You know what I'm saying? These clippers is making my personal life, not like I want it to be. So Clipperholic has just been that journey of me just really trying to really dive into my purpose, whatever that's supposed to have been, just trying to really excel and try to be the best, barber that, I could be. And so with that, I kind of moved around a few different places. We went from Illinois, we went from Tennessee, and I had ended up getting my instructor's license at Empire Beauty Schools. I had got my cosmetology instructor's license there. Then I moved to Atlanta, where I started teaching. And I came up with another brand because I have probably about 3 brands. Cosmogul. Cosmogul is another brand that's a kind of an offshoot of Clipperholic.
Mm-hmm.
And Cosmogul was I was teaching cosmetology, so I was teaching women, right? So I was like, trying to come up with a brand with that. I was like, I'm a cosmetology mogul, so I put Cosmogul together, and that had ended up coming about. And in that, I end up getting my barber's instructor's license as well. So I don't know if you guys know, but barbering has just really across the country, probably across the globe, barbering has become commercial now. It's not underground like it used to be. Everybody's a barber now.
Wow.
So with Clipperholic and with that journey, again, it stems from education. The tech come from me eventually getting my software engineering degree. So what I tried to develop was a course, a barber course, and the barber course is directed towards apprentices, because in Georgia, apprentices, you don't have to go to school to get your instructor's license. I mean, to get your barber's license, you can work in a shop and earn your hours under a master and then go take your test. But I found out the problem was that their masters couldn't necessarily train them as far as the theoretical aspect of it for them to feel confident enough to go in there and take their test and pass their test. So I had came up with a course that appeals to the apprentices. It's a supplemental tool for barber students, and it's also lastly for barber enthusiasts. You may not want to go to school, you may cut a little bit, but you may want to know what the deeper meaning of a master barber is. So I created a platform to where I have the curriculum, and it has certain interactions. It has matching, it has flashcards, it has assignments, It has, just a little bit of the content for you to kind of learn and go through these different chapters and learn at your own pace as far as dealing with barbering. So I tried to tie in, as part of my evolution, I tried to tie in my skill set as a barber, but also provide some sort of learning tool for them to kind of, and at an affordable price, because where can you get it from? You have people that, again, what I've seen on YouTube, you just see a lot of people cutting hair or giving their opinions or whatever the case may be. And I just thought that, wow, maybe we need some education, because education is very critical. So I created this course, this Master Barber course. It's a free course that they can go to. And that free course that I offer is the history of barbering. So, just give them an opportunity to kind of go through there and get an overview of what the rest of the chapters may be. And hopefully once you complete that, you'll feel a lot more confident, have a bigger understanding of what a barber is, because you don't want any of these skill sets to be kind of lost in what it used to be. And it seemed like more and more now, especially dealing with the pandemic, we have to kind of get to the deeper meaning of what we do. I don't care if you, like, say for example, you want to grow food. They got a technical name for growing food. It's horticulture, right? Or plants. So you got to understand what type of plants but it has to be some sort of theory for you to understand this, in order for you to, and that's how I'm kind of doing with barbering, is providing a course for you to go and and learn a little bit more about what a barber is.
The science behind it.
Definitely the science and the art.
Mm-hmm.
So basically that's what it is. Clipperholic is kind of my gift to the barber industry, for the past 20 plus years. And because now my evolution is into technology and software engineering. Like, I have a course where learning how to build a website, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, right? And all that was me being able to build my platform, which is, you guys are familiar. Have you guys, I'm sure you have you ever went on a job and had to do an onboarding on a computer for a few hours?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
See, that's what I have. I have like that type of learning management system on the back end, where I create these type of courses, scenario driven courses. But with the barbering, I just kind of keep it basic, as far as just you take multiple choice tests. You have matching, drag and drop, interactive tools that they can use to be more productive in society, because what they found out in dealing with technology, we more in the entertainment and the leisure of technology instead of the production, being productive in using technology. So I've tried to be productive in using technology and just on the front end provide barbers or people that want to be barbers or understand more about a barber through these courses that I have. It's 21 courses that embodies the whole chapter, the whole textbook of barbering.
Nice.
So if you click on that, so you click on that barber portal. So now what it does, it goes to my back end. So right there is the history of barbering, kind of gives a little summary, but then it has the different interactions that you can go through to make sure you can gain a little bit more knowledge about that subject. And it scales, because even instructors, I really want to hook up with instructors, because again, with the pandemic, how many, I learned that schools were scrambling trying to stay and keep their students engaged, but they didn't know nothing about e-learning. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. I know an instructor. I know an instructor who's awesome. He's phenomenal. He started a school in Ripley, and he's from Decatur too. You may know him too. He's one of the. His name is, we call him Jaguar Bentley, but his name is Emmanuel D. Berry though. But I'll connect you with him though, because he's a really really good instructor, and now he's doing. I think he's instructing out of Dyersburg now.
Well, yeah, no, that's dope. That's dope.
I'll
And
I'll connect him. I'll make sure I connect you two because this is awesome. This is dope.
yeah, I mean, this is it's really enterprise. So I really, as if there's instructors that want to, kind of really learn more about these, or I kind of go on and on about the situation because it's a lot of, like you said, like with this type of software, it's almost like a business building a business because they got different
Mm-hmm.
arms to it. And with this software here, it has different arms for instructors. Right now, what I'm on my way to, I'm getting ready to go to a school and get ready to implement this course for their students to go and because you get to track their learning with this type of software. So it's great
Mm-hmm.
for schools that want to make sure that they can do some smart educating. Like if you're teaching a group of 10, how do you know who getting what? And this is more of a nice automated way of trying to figure out what students may or may not know, or what you may need to concentrate on the next time you give a lesson. So my job is, what I've been doing is training instructors on how to use this type of software, or how to get into blended learning and stuff like that within the vocational barbering and cosmetology.
Genius. This is genius, cuz.
So yeah, so that's Clipperholic. That's basically kind of my gift, and trying to really get that, like, what I'm saying, building something for some people that may be passionate about this, or maybe was trying to figure out, man, how can I evolve in this? I have definitely the tool that can really get that get it spark, get them sparks going. And as far as my evolution, I have cloudswerve.tech. That's my technology company that I just started in 2021, February 2021. Cloudswerve.tech is the tech company. So, but it's kind of tied in together because it's the technology company is the back end of what you see as far as this courses, and it scales. Like, just say if I could get with an electrician, I get with subject matter experts, and if they have a class or if they have an audience, we can come up with or they have students, we can come up with courses, and I can kind of give
Mm-hmm.
them some ideas on how they can really maybe try to build some residual income, and in a passion of what they're doing and what they want to share and maintain with their students. I think it's a great thing that we can try to expand on. So
So
that's what Clipperholic.
you already know what my next question is.
Yes,
We've
sir.
been we've been talking about it all night. How can we help? How can we help you build this and get it
What
to
listen,
where the level that your vision sees it and beyond?
if you know a barber, if you're a barber, if you're an instructor, if you know an instructor, if you know some enthusiasts, just tell them to log in, take the course, and give me feedback as far as their experience. Because again, this is at the fetus stage. This really, when you get these different ideas and people coming in and you can make it your own. I got it to where you, instead of my name, it got your brand name on it. Like I give you an example. I have like a barbershop. Whenever their apprentices, they take this course. So once they finish that course, they get a certificate in the barbershop's name. And
Nice.
he get to keep up with his apprentices as far as what they're learning and all those different types of things. So I try to be the middleman, and as far as dealing with apprentices and masters, as far as making sure we getting the foundation and the education of what we're doing to build our confidence so we can be better service to our clients. Because and the content is I mean, the content is crazy. The content, the things that you'll learn, and just think about chemistry. Just think about what you're gonna learn if you take that chemistry course.
Exactly.
how you make your own products. So instructors, barber enthusiasts, take the course, give me feedback off your experience or whatever the case may be, and and see what happens from there.
Well, we're gonna definitely push it, and we're gonna definitely spread the word. I'm gonna holler at the people that I know. I know O knows a lot of people. The people in the people watching, they can help spread the word, man. Let's make this as big as we can possibly make it, because this idea is genius and it needs to be on a worldwide scale. It needs to be something that's used across the globe. This is forward thinking, like at its finest. Like you're thinking like forward. We've been talking about this all night, like how forward thinking this is. This is gonna go on and on and on for future generations. This is something that can just keep getting bigger and more detailed, and you can start adding in more industries, different
Yes.
fields, and man, this is genius, cuz man.
So are you able to go to cloudswerve.tech?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then I'll be cool on that. I just want to kind of just show you an example. Swerve, SWERV .tech.
Just it's swerve.tech.
No, cloud, like cloud, and swerve.
It won't, it's not pulling it up. I'm gonna Google it.
How you spelling it?
CLOUDSWERVE
Nuh-uh, no,
dot.
nuh-uh. Take the E off at the end.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Okay. So this is my tech company. So Cloud Swerve, I'm like your virtual estate agent. So if you kind of stroll up, yeah, you can enter the news. But you can go down, you can click out of
I
that.
do want to get no's. I'm gonna go ahead and subscribe.
Right on. So like if you log in, now that goes to the back end of those that may be participating in my tech, in my website building course.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that can go endlessly as far as the different brands that people may need a platform to put their course on. And I can,
Man, that is cold. I've always wanted to like teach drafting. Like what I learned. That got me started into this engineering thing. I wonder. I mean, this seems like something that I maybe even one day could come up with one that teaches ASME standards and stuff like that.
yeah, because see, the thing about it is like, you may be in spaces where others can't to get certain information. So how do
Mm-hmm.
we trickle that down? How do we trickle that down to, people that may not be able to get that access? And
Mm-hmm.
that's where we come in at as entrepreneurs, is being able to try to provide, making sure we have theory and practical, not just practical. We
Mm-hmm.
got to get some theory and practical in. But you as the master or the educator, you got to provide that curriculum or that structure in order for them to, really get the, they had a ability to reach their potential.
you need to make it speak to them, like you said. Like you said earlier that like certain things, like if you're in a classroom, it needs to be speaking to you because you're not going to be sitting there and you know twiddling your fingers and not being engaged because the teacher or the course is not speaking to you.
Well, that's where as far as blended learning, that's where that comes in at, because
Hmm.
again, you may be asking certain types of questions or leading questions or whatever the case may be. You may give some sort of lecture, and then as soon as you get done with that lecture, I need you to go ahead and log into this portal, and I need to take this 25 question test. All that's automated. You ain't got to go sit there and
Nice.
manually do all these different types of
Okay.
things.
Okay. That's dope.
But also in those courses, you can have it speak to you, because you can do a webinar or something like that, have it recorded, posted on there for when they do go into the portal. You know how college is.
Yeah,
if
that's
you
what I was thinking, more like a webinar type of thing to
but
where
but
and make it interesting.
that's all this is. We just doing it on an entrepreneur level as far as vocational, not just dealing with college.
Hmm. This is awesome, man. This blows my mind. Like just the like just thinking of like how big it can be in the future. Just thinking of like the possibilities. That's the word that I'm looking for. The possibilities of this is just
Well,
endless.
it's going to be the participants that's going to make it possible. They got to see it as well. You know what I mean? As far as is it a benefit to them? I mean, again, we still trying to muscle through. Is for the mind state is really learning theory. Is that really something we want to do?
It's something that we need to do because we got to get ourselves out of this, the situation. We got to grow. Like we got to grow. Our community has to, and this is definitely a look in the right direction,
Yeah.
a step in the right direction,
Yeah,
and
I do
I
think.
support it.
Yeah, I do think one thing that I think this is great for is one thing I keep hearing you saying in the vocational industry, right? And so I think, sound like from what I heard you said earlier, I'm not in the vocational industry, but I think what happened is the pandemic showed that there was a gap, right? There was a gap in some opportunities to continue to educate not only, barbers, but also, people who want to be teachers and people who want to be, barber teachers, cosmetology teachers, master barbers. Think about how great of an opportunity this would have been for, electricians to catch up on codes and get up to date on different things for, car mechanics to, take a few extra courses to kind of help, you know, refine your education while there is nothing going on, while you can't do anything. I think what you've created is a tool that people can now take and use to try to reinvest into themselves. And not only reinvest into themselves, but entrepreneurs can create opportunities for themselves. I mean, I think, Jeff kind of talked about it. He's a drafter. This is an opportunity to make some additional income, some residual income. You create something, you put it out there. You don't have to get 1,000 people overnight. But what about that one person who's on Google looking for something? Or what about that one person that you meet at your job, or that, you're one of your son's friends at the house and is interested in what he sees? And, you don't even have to tell him that it's yours. You say, hey, man, I took this course right here and it helped get me the foundation
Mhm.
that I needed to go to
Hmm.
vocational school. You know what I'm saying? So I think, I have to commend you for taking an opportunity to expand where you saw there was a deficit at.
Mhm.
Being able to put your passion to work and being able to put that in a space where not only it can help you, but it can help others. And I think that's one thing I think we should all try to do: have stuff and create things that helps others. The money will come, but just helping someone be better and helping someone, add some tools to their bag that they might need. And so I think this is a great idea.
Thank you.
And I believe it's only up from here, you know, wherever that is. And I think that'll go as far as your passion will take you. As far as, you know, I think you've made us a believer here tonight in what's going on. And I
Definitely.
think other people that'll watch it, you know, there'll be some people that'll touch and they'll believe in it. And so I wish nothing but success. You know, I hope
Thank
you have a slew of master barbers calling and I want to create my own course, a slew of
Yep.
barbershops who say, I want to have this for my apprentice. And, you know, just a slew of people who reach out to say, hey, I want to not only take your course, but I want to have this for myself too.
Right.
And my business and my brand.
That's it. That's it. And then let me just add the you know, ice on the cake, like, you know, like, remember when you guys was talking about, like, okay, you need the sales team, you need this person, you know, and see, when you had these different type of courses put together, you know, it's up to them, or it's an assignment for them. Hey, look, go into the portal, and, you know, then we're gonna reconvene to see, you know, what have you gained in order to help benefit and how to use this practically out into the world. So corporate training is definitely excellent for corporate training too.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Onboarding for the barbershop, baby. Onboarding for the barbershop. Are you ready to cut some real heads?
Are you ready?
Well, we thank you sincerely, cuz, for coming on the show, man.
I appreciate it.
Sharing sharing your vision and allowing us to share some of our vision with you. And I want to extend my hand and make you a reoccurring, like a co-host. Well, a co-host also of the show. If you would, maybe we could talk about it off of the air. I don't want you to, you know, give a definite answer unless you have a definite answer.
We already established that.
So looks like it's gonna be me, you, and man, chopping it up, man, and making some noise, man.
Great chemistry.
Yeah, I really enjoy the chemistry, man. Definitely.
And we done talk for 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we didn't even get to the actual point until 2 hours in.
Right.
Free game, ain't that what they call it? Free game. Yeah. But with that being said, man, y'all, if I just want everybody out there watching to like and subscribe the channel if you on YouTube.
Like and subscribe.
Share if you on Facebook, like and share. If you on Twitter, retweet. I don't know where I got that from. I just made that up one night, but I think it's dope. But we're about to be out of here. Y'all got any last words?
Hey, peace and blessings. You know, I look forward to the next time we get the wrap.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, man. I can't wait to do it again.
All right. Peace and love, y'all. We out.
Hands down.